Is that Jesse? Let's bring him in, man.
Now we're talking.
We love when Jesse comes on the show.
Of course.
Ladies and gentlemen,
he
Jesse
is.
Ventura.
Uh-oh.
How are you, sir?
Governor
Good. How you guys
Ventura.
doing?
I see you got your SEAL team hat on today.
Yes.
Always.
You keep the title, right? Like the president?
Yeah.
It's Governor
absolutely
Ventura.
you do. Yeah.
So
you
the
can,
whole time.
you can actually put it on your gravestone if you'd like to.
Wow.
Would you?
Yeah, I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
Why not?
Hey, you
But it was a
earned
bad
it, I
experience
gather.
for you. You didn't like being governor, did you?
It was not a bad experience. I did like it.
Oh, you did?
Yeah. Why was it bad? I mean, I got to meet and do things that I would never. I mean, because I was governor, I got to sit down with Fidel Castro for an hour. I mean, who can say they've done that before? And I couldn't have did it without being the
Did you
governor.
like Fidel?
I
thought Jesse was too radical.
You can't, it's hard to judge. When I saw Fidel, it was back in 2002 before he had any health problems, and he was right on. I mean, I'll tell you how perceptive he was. I had 1 hour with him. And as I was sitting there, back then I wore a watch. I just happened to glance down at my watch to see, and Castro immediately said to me, looks at me, says, "I'm sorry, am I keeping you from something?"
Oh, yeah.
And so I said to him, I said, "No," but I said, "I know I only have an hour with you." And I said, I have 20 minutes left. And I said, "I wanted to ask you some personal questions." And he said, "Ask me anything you'd like." And that's when I asked him about his perception of the murder of John F. Kennedy, because I wanted to know, in many of the scenarios, Castro plays a prominent role. And I wanted to hear it from his side of what he felt happened in America that day.
And
What did he say?
I did it.
He said completely it was an inside job, and then he looked me right in the eye and he says, "Oswald couldn't make the shots. You know that as well as I do." And he said it was an inside job. He said the Soviets. He said I was very close to them back then. He said the Soviets did not want Kennedy dead because their quote to me was, "You can talk to this man."
Yeah.
And Castro said, "I didn't want him dead." He said, "Do I look suicidal?" He said, "If I would have killed Kennedy, my country would have been wiped off the face of the earth."
Yeah.
And I tend to believe him.
Just let me ask you a question, because I was always a conspiracy guy with the Kennedy stuff.
Yeah.
And I've actually begun to not be. And it's simply through, as technology has advanced and debunked certain bits of conspiracy, and then they had the 1978 House Committee, Select Committee on Assassinations. Like, I've actually started to think it was Oswald as much as that was.
There's two versions. The Warren Commission says Oswald did it alone. The 78 Committee says there was a conspiracy. So how can you have two separate reports?
Well,
from the
did they say
government?
Conspiracy, though? Because
No, they said it was a conspiracy.
But wasn't it because, let me ask you, wasn't it because there was an audio that was left on an officer's microphone on a motorcycle, and they said that acoustics proved that was a fourth bullet, thereby making it a conspiracy. And then later on, they said, no, that was a different officer's mic. That was incorrect. And the medical evidence, like Bodden and them, all said it was actually one shooter. Like, the medical evidence never came to the conclusion it was more than one shooter.
That's because you're not seeing the real medical evidence.
Well, Humes burned it.
You're right.
Commander Humes burned it.
Right. And no, to me, it comes down to this, as simple as this. If Oswald's who they say he was, this disgruntled little Marine private who became a Marxist-Leninist, defected to the Soviet Union, married a Soviet wife, brought her back here, got mad because of our policy towards Cuba and killed our president, well, why would everything have to be locked up in national security for 50 years?
I don't even disagree with that.
Because the point is, a Marine private doesn't know nothing that would affect our national security. Now, if Oswald was a CIA agent involved in a false defector program with the Soviet Union, wouldn't they then have to cover that up? Because, and why is it today that you can't get Oswald's tax return?
Really?
Yeah, it's still locked up. They won't let you, and I'll tell you why. If he was getting paid by the government, it would show it on his tax return, and that would cause people to go, whoa, wait a minute. This guy was collecting government checks?
I'm not even talking about that. You might be right about that. I don't doubt that there was people who actually knew what he was going to do. I'm not saying that there was nobody involved. I'm only talking about the actual shooting, the physical evidence from the shooting.
Yeah. Have you ever been there?
Yes.
I have too. You couldn't make the shot. There's a big tree in the way.
But I think that they've reenacted
There's a big tree in the way.
They've reenacted it where they actually were a lot of guys that pulled off the shot. Like, for a long time.
Nobody's pulled the shot off. They had Carlos. Well, no. They had Carlos Hathcock try it. He's the Marine Corps' top sniper. He ran the Quantico sniper. But he was the Marine Corps' top sniper. He was the head instructor at the Quantico Sniper School. He couldn't do it. And he has over, 98 confirmed kills? Excuse me. Oswald had the lowest rating you could have in military shooting. He was a barely made marksman. He wasn't even a sharpshooter, an expert. And you're going to tell me he pumped these 3 rounds and the magic bullet? That is crap.
But they have actually.
That is crap.
They have. It sounds like crap.
It is
until
crap.
You see it, but
Till you
like,
see the bullet, it's pristine.
I don't believe.
How can a bullet go through 7 people, end up lodged in someone's leg, and it's pristine? They could solve this simply, but who do you call it? Won't allow it. The Governor Conley. He has fragments in his body. Let's get those fragments and weigh it against the bullet they said did it. If it weighs more than original, then that tells you there's 2.
I just don't think so. And it's like, again, it's hard to argue a point that I held for so long because I really did believe conspiracy.
Yeah.
And it's not that I want to give up on conspiracy. It was just that when they start lumping in the Warren Commission and the Dallas Police Department, it's like, stop it.
Again, it becomes too many people.
It's ridiculous.
That somebody would have said something.
There were people actually in the Oswald was in the 6th floor of the depository.
Really?
There was,
who's going to admit to murder?
There was people on the 5th floor of the depository who heard the fucking shell casings falling. There were people under the floor below Oswald who heard the shell casings, and they looked up and they heard the shots coming from above them.
Wow,
I'm not saying he was. I'm not saying he was
shell casings. Damn,
on the wood floor right above them. Yeah, that's not that hard to hear.
And you'd know those were shell casings.
Well, they heard shots.
You got that pristine of an ear to know, damn, that sounded like shell
guess
casings.
after the fact,
These must have been combat veterans sitting down below.
But I think if people sit right below a floor below somebody on a wood floor,
I think
hear
after
shell
the fact,
casings fall. Tink, tink. If you hear metal things falling,
and you'd say,
how do you know they're metal when they're hitting wood?
Because
how do you know on a wood floor that it's metal hitting it?
Because if you're watching the president and you hear shots ringing out above you and you hear something hitting the floor, maybe the investigators made the conclusion there were shell casings. But they heard something above them. They heard the shots coming from right above them, and they were in the 5th floor of the depository.
Now, I got to say, this is the kind of stuff that gets people riled up, and that's
why I have my show.
This is what your show is based
Absolutely,
on.
to make people think.
Theory.
To make people think.
I have seen the ads because I watch the channel all the time. That's that True TV.
True Channel used to be Court TV.
Yeah, I watch it all the time, and boy, they have pushed that show, and I love the idea of this first episode with the harp.
Yep.
And what does this thing do?
I'll tell you, it's scary. I didn't even know this thing existed until a few months ago. And what it is, it's a group. It's located about 5 hours from Anchorage, Alaska. I had to go up there. It's out in the middle of nowhere. And it's a group, regular radio, the maximum you can put out is 50,000 watts. This is a group of 300 and some antennas that all put out 50,000 watts, and they all go together. So you've got millions of watts going up into the ionosphere, which is that layer right between Earth and space.
Now, what's so bad about that? If they're doing some kind of research,
first of all, it heats it up. So could that be global warming? Could that be part of it, that they're heating up the ionosphere up there by using this thing? It's powered by 5 diesel engines that are the size of a locomotive, each one of them.
What do they say
Now wait,
it's for?
They call it a unclassified research center. Well, they're already lying. Because if it's unclassified, why wasn't I allowed in? So clearly it's classified, although they're portraying it as unclassified. Clearly it is. Otherwise, they'd have let me in.
That is true.
If it's unclassified, why would they care?
And there was also, I have to say, some misconceptions about where the bullet entered the back.
Oh, come on.
There were misconceptions.
Gerald Ford changed it. Gerald Ford changed it.
Kennedy's jacket was higher up on his body than people thought. It wasn't
No. Ford changed it.
No,
Ford changed where the bullet hit.
Kennedy wore something.
Right.
He wore something because he had a bad back. He wore like a girdle, which is why he kind of collapsed and he couldn't just tip over.
And he pulled it up like
No.
this.
It was like that.
So it would all fit right in. But why are we talking about this? Let's talk about Harp.
No, that's one of your
That's
one of your episodes.
No, it isn't. We don't do Kennedy.
Don't you do Kennedy?
Absolutely not.
I thought you did.
He said you next season.
No, we kept everything within the 10-year decade. We did not go do old stuff. We did not do Martin Luther King. We didn't do anything. We kept it all within the last decade.
So what does this harp thing do?
Well, what it does, what they tell us it does, is that it goes up and then these these low frequency sounds are then ricocheted back to Earth. Well, they become very useful in that you can find oil under the ground. You can communicate to submarines under the ocean. You can do all this stuff, and that's all well and good.
Sure.
But then there's a flip side to it. It can control the weather. We get a demonstration of that. And the conspiracy...
Wait, there's a demonstration on the show?
Yeah. Of how it can control the weather.
Isn't that great, though?
No, it's not, because we've signed treaties stating back in the 70s, all the countries of the world signed treaties stating if they got technology to control the weather, they would not use it in an aggressive
China
war
already say
fashion.
that they have used something to control the weather?
No, they're
recently?
attempting to do what we're doing. They're doing the same thing HAARP
All right,
is.
so the treaty went out the window.
No, not necessarily. I don't know if China signed it.
I would understand if you send heat into the atmosphere, you're going to change the weather, but it's not as drastic as saying, I am gonna, with my weather machine, I'll rule the world.
Well, you might laugh it off and say that, but here's the other thing. All of this low-level sound, now the human brain operates, all human brains operate on the same frequency. There's a frequency.
Probably not.
Well, this thing's set up on the same frequency as the human brain. Do you think that's by happenstance or by design?
Is that the part of your commercial where you go, mind control?
Yep.
Oh, that one gets
They're going to
me.
control our minds?
Now, what is that?
What they can do, and they gave me a demonstration on the show. It's written by a Dr. Nick Begich,
who's tinfoil on my head.
Whose brother is whose brother's a senator, U.S. senator, and he does a miniature one on me where there's a CD player, and then there's this, and there's two wires off it with flat discs that he places here. I plug my ears. No one in the room can hear it, but then he turns it on. I hear the music, but not through my ears.
Through your shoulders?
You hear it through the front of your skull.
Really?
That's where it sounded like it came from to me.
That's some good pot.
And it's not bone resonant sound kind of vibrating? No, nothing like that.
Well, it gets into you, but not via your ears. Not via your ears.
Can't you hear radio
so
through your cavities?
It shows how they could shoot these things down to masses of people and literally affect your emotions with them. They can cause you anxiety. They can cause you fear. They can cause many things like this.
What is their explanation for? Is it like riot control and crowd control?
No, they say it won't do any of those things.
Yeah. Now,
they deny all the bad stuff, and they
gave a demonstration.
Right. No, they didn't. Dr. Begich gave me one. He ain't part of them.
Begich.
He's the guy who helps investigate. His brother's a U.S. senator from up there.
Governor, sir, I just want to ask you about that. What's so bad about that if they're doing that kind of weird research? Is that bad? I mean, obviously you're exposing it, but you're almost making it sound a little bad and ominous when it's like, we should, if they are capable of doing that, why wouldn't we as humans want to expand and see if we can actually do it?
Well, because things can be abused.
Oh, of course, anything can.
And this is such a scary technology that if someone abuses it, it could have mega effects, all to the negative.
Scarier than a hydrogen bomb?
All right, here's what the conspiracy theory is. The big conspiracy. Do you remember the tsunami that hit Indonesia a couple years ago?
Certainly.
Do you remember there was no forecast to it? There was no
came out of nowhere.
Earthquake. It came out of nowhere. Well, here's the conspiracy.
I heard there was an earthquake. What happened?
No, there wasn't. The people that were in Indonesia.
You can't just say no, there wasn't.
Oh, right.
No, because there wasn't.
There wasn't an
offshore. So if we Google that, we won't find that?
Well, the people in Indonesia said, and one of the signs of HAARP that it's fully going is you see a heavy dose of the Northern Lights. Well, just prior to this tsunami in Indonesia, witnesses saw the Northern Lights. Well, you can't see the Northern Lights in Indonesia. How come they saw them? And so the conspiracy is, were they testing out HAARP? And it created this tsunami that later killed hundreds and thousands of people. Like one of my guys says, oh, come on, Governor, on the show. He says, you're saying the government would kill all these people? But I say to him, I'm not saying they did it, but what if they were just testing it? And the test ended up.
And they fucked up.
Yeah, and what are they going to do then? Say, oops, oops, we're sorry, oops.
But
Well,
now,
watch the show. You be the judge. You be the judge on whether you think we should be messing with this stuff.
Your damn spots on that show got me hooked already. I am watching it. Believe me.
Well, isn't that what TV's supposed to do?
Exactly.
There you go.
That's what I'm going to do when I'm watching that show. But the one thing about the commercial for the show too is you saying you're finally going to talk, Jesse. When have you been quiet?
I'm quiet all winter when I'm in Mexico. When I live in Mexico, I'm quiet.
Really?
Absolutely. I live in Mexico. I live off the grid.
Yeah, we learned about this last
Mexican?
time.
Huh?
Do you Spanish? Excuse me.
No.
Do you speak fluent Spanish?
That's why you're quiet. They wouldn't understand you.
You know?
Who is this crazy giant?
I want to ask Jesse. He went and saw Fidel Castro, and you said that's when I used to wear a watch. Why don't you wear a watch anymore?
Because when I decided after I taught at Harvard in 2004, when I got done there, I made a decision that I wanted to go on and the window of opportunity is closing. I'm getting older, and I wanted to go on an adventure. And I'm 58 now, and my adventure was moving down in Mexico, where I live in the Baja. I live an hour from electricity and an hour from pavement.
That's boring.
And I go no, it's not. I surf. Surfing's a lifestyle,
cool.
yeah.
All that stuff is cool. And what do you do at night, though?
So sleep what you're supposed to do.
After the surf days, over. I mean, after between the sun setting and time for bed.
I read a great deal down there.
Yeah.
I change my life when I go down there and when I live down there, and I enjoy it. And it's an adventure living down there, and it's also an adventure, and I think it gives you better insight to view the United States from the outside looking in instead of the inside looking out.
You have been criticized by certain people for being less patriotic because you kind of go down to Mexico and then look at the United States and then criticize a lot.
Yeah.
But
well,
so
you know what? Anybody that challenges my patriotism, let me say this to them. My father's a World War II veteran with 7 bronze battle stars. My mother is a World War II veteran. She was a nurse in North Africa.
Your mother wore army boots?
She was a nurse in North Africa. My brother's a Vietnam veteran, and so am I. How dare someone question me and my family's patriotism? Every member of my family served at a time of war.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of which, what do you think of Obama's speech last night?
I think it's awful. I think we should not be sending those troops. You are not going to conquer terrorism by that. You don't conquer terrorism by invading a country and occupying it. You're creating more terrorists. They don't want us over there. So more terrorists because of the hatred of being occupied. And the point is, terrorism will be won by solid police work. You saw the last busts here where they got these nuts. Well, they did that with good police work. They didn't do it by invading a country. And I think we should immediately implement the draft because you got guys going on their 4th, 5th, 6th, and 7th tour over there. That's ridiculous. Bring back the draft. You'll end the wars. Because then when little Johnny gets drafted and comes home a year later in a body bag, it'll have some effect on the neighborhood. We need to implement a war tax right now. And I was just on Howard Stern, and Ben Stein says, you can't implement a tax in the middle of a recession. My response back was, so we'll send the young people to die, and then we'll also make them pay for it later. Because we won't even pay for it now.
What did Ben Stein say to that?
Not much.
Exactly.
Not much.
We don't
you know
Ben
what he
Stein.
is, Jess.
He's a jackass.
Dry red eyes.
He's a complete jackass.
Well, but the point is, he's supposedly an economist saying that you can't put a tax on in. See, my belief is the reason we're going to these wars now is because we have a professional military and nobody in this country's feeling any pain over it. When you go to war, everybody should feel pain and sacrifice.
We were talking about
and that ain't happening.
We were talking about war and sacrifice a couple of days ago, and the fact that during World War II, especially, the whole country got together. I mean, there were these gathering aluminum pots and pans and nylon, and you couldn't do this.
It's called sacrifice.
Rationing and stuff, and it was sacrifice. But for the government again to just shove their goddamn hands in everyone's pocket to finance something that to me isn't really sacrificing as.
Oh, yes, it is. It brings it home. That means every time you spend $1, you know a penny of it is going to that war.
You know what, though? I know that because I pay a lot of taxes. And
so do I.
But I know it goes to a lot of places. The military, I like a strong military.
Really?
The war
Let me
itself,
ask you this.
Yes, sir.
why should the defense budget take half of our tax dollars? Who are we defending against? The Taliban's going to invade here like the Marines? They're going to drive onto the East Coast, drop ramps, and rush our beach? Well, why do we need to spend all our revenue? Who are we defending against?
It's kind of
you believe Bush when he says they envy our freedom? Well, we don't have freedom anymore. They've suspended habeas corpus, Do you know now they can arrest you in this country and they can hold you without a lawyer and they can hold you indefinitely without charging you? All they have to do is, quote, say you were involved in some type of terror activity.
Well, don't You're they need telling some me that's cause to say that?
No.
What terror?
No.
So I'm walking down the street.
They can arrest you.
What would they say was my terrorist activity?
They don't have to say anything.
Really?
Yep.
Well,
because they suspended habeas corpus during the Bush administration because of, quote, the war on terror. Well, guess what? The terrorists are winning. You know why? They're changing our country, aren't they?
Well,
that's what they want to do, and we're falling victim to it. We're taking it hook, line, and sinker.
If we didn't change, we then would have just been complacent and waited for some other attack, which I know you have.
Okay, wait a minute.
I know
Let me give you a statistic. Let me give you a statistic.
Yes, sir.
In the last 50 years, statistically, more people have died in their bathtub than an act of terrorism.
But you're talking
when you are jumping out the 90th floor.
So what we need now is a Department of Bathtub Security.
But recent history.
We need to get out there and we need to judge what time of the month that most people die in the bathtub. Then we can have it color-coded so that you'll know December's a bad time of the year. Watch out in the bathroom.
Governor
and you know
Ventura,
what else? Wait. We can suspend, too, and have guys come into your house without warrants to see if your bathtub's equipped with all the proper stuff to protect you.
That's like saying more people have died in nuclear accidents in the past 1,000 years in, the past 50 years. In 1,000 years, more people have died in nuclear accidents in the last 50. Well, obviously nothing was going on.
It's like I've told people, you have about as much chance of being hit by a terrorist as you do winning the Powerball.
Yeah, but it's
what about the people that got hit with them, though?
Our money. We should spend all our money, and we should take away all our free. See, here's my belief. I would rather face the terrorist than lose my freedoms.
Well, other people might not feel that way.
But that's a viable argument to make. The other one is, though, we've never done well as a country when our military has been decimated. Carter administration, we were the laughing stock of the world at that time because the military budget was cut so badly until Reagan got in and again brought us up to the power that this country was in. How do you giggle at me?
He's laughing at you.
How do you giggle at me, sir?
I'm smiling at you.
He's laughing at you. Why are you laughing at Anthony?
Why do you think in America?
So during Carter administration,
yes,
we didn't have the ability to blow up the world?
No, of course we did, but no one uses. No one.
And we could blow it up how many times over?
Atomic war was the ultimate. I'm talking conventional. We don't sit there and go, "Hey, watch it, or I'm going to nuke you."
Who attacked us during the Carter time? That we needed conventional warfare.
Iran through proxy.
The Iranians overran our embassy. Yeah. Well, let's remember what Reagan did.
Yes.
Reagan in Lebanon, 270 of our Marines got killed, and what did he do? He cut and ran. He pulled us out. The great Ronald Reagan, the hero of all Republicans, cut and ran.
Yeah.
Because 270 of our Marines got killed in Lebanon by a truck bomb. And he said, these people are crazy. We're getting out of here. I give Ronald Reagan credit. He was smart. He got us the hell out of there.
Let me ask you, I don't remember. Why was the U.S. in Lebanon at that time?
Why are we anywhere?
No, but I mean,
because we're the policemen of the world.
Well, I agree.
That's why.
But did he pull us out of Lebanon because
it was so volatile? Because 270 Marines got killed, and he didn't want any more getting killed.
Or was he there? Or were we there for a reason, like the quote unquote, to watch out that certain things didn't happen, and they just want to fuck them, pull the troops out, and let them do whatever they want to do?
You thought it was a no-win situation.
It was a no-win situation. Sure. 270 of my Marines get killed, and the great Ronald Reagan cut and ran. How does Republicans swallow that?
Well,
that their hero actually cut and ran.
Perhaps
did kill
But I agree with him. He was smart.
As you said, you assess the situation and go, there is no way to win this.
Then there's no way to win Afghanistan. I got news for you. The English couldn't. The Russians couldn't.
I think
this is the new Vietnam because we're propping up an unpopular government just like we did in Vietnam.
Very horribly corrupt government.
Yes, and we're propping them up and we're sending and they tell you this isn't Vietnam. Yes, it is.
I don't think in 18 months they're going to be able to train and get a corrupt government, by the way, whose president was illegally voted in, to organize and fight.
Here's one for
enemy.
you. In Vietnam, we never allowed free elections. You know why?
Because Ho Chi Minh
would have won by a landslide.
Yeah.
And see, that would have said, well, what are we here for then? The people want Ho. Why are we here? Same thing in Afghanistan. We're propping up an unpopular government.
You do understand.
And guys are going to die over there. And in the end, what will we have accomplished?
But at the time, the mindset was the domino theory. That's what it was back then. And the mindset was communism was going to, if we didn't nip it in the bud. Now, I understand. Believe me, you're not going to get an argument out of me that was a fucked up war to even go into.
So are these.
I understand. I agree with you. I agree with you on that. What do we do to protect ourselves from people that do despise this nation and want to do its public harm in the trains, planes?
You do it with vigilant police work here within our country.
But then the civil liberties groups say that you're overstepping your bounds by taking away the civil liberties. If the cops come too hard, well, the profiling, you can't profile because we're Arab American. It's like you get into that quandary where if you, I agree with you.
Then it's better. Let's take away our freedoms and we'll all be safe.
Now there's a balance. What do you do? It's a real question, though.
They did that in Nazi Germany,
Jesse,
too.
it's a real question. It's a real question.
The trains ran on time.
It's a real question, though. What do you do? Like, I agree with you. Vigilant police work.
What do you do? You're just vigilant. And again, I'd rather face the terrorist than lose my freedoms.
But somebody on the 90th floor of the towers might not feel that way when a plane has hit the building. It's not like in military coming in. They're citizens who are assimilating, behaving like your neighbor.
Well, is invading a country going to solve this and occupying it?
Iraq, no. Afghanistan's different, I think, because, look, they were the ones harboring bin Laden. We said, give us bin Laden or we're going to come in.
Right.
They refused to give up bin Laden.
No, they didn't. Here's what they said. They said, charge him and we'll turn him over. We have never charged bin Laden. How come we haven't convened the grand jury? The government put forth their evidence and indicted him. That's what the Taliban said. Charge him and we'll turn him over. We refuse to charge him. Why?
Now, why is that?
We have convicted
why do you
him.
think?
We have convicted him before even indicting him. How do you convict someone and put a bounty on him without indicting him?
I think that it would look bad if we were giving him due process when because
we're a country of the rule of law.
First of all, he wasn't even in the United States.
So,
never mind a citizen.
It took place here.
It
took place in our country.
The crime did, but he
claimed responsibility. Stop
it.
No,
he didn't.
Of course he has.
He said no.
He has not said no.
Yes, he did.
No, he has not.
Al-Zawahiri said. Oh yeah, right.
Al-Zawahiri said they did it. He said they did it. Come on.
Oh yeah, and they got the guy down there and waterboarded him 180 times. I got news for you, pal. Let me waterboard you, and I'll get you to confess to it.
No, you won't.
Yes, you will.
I'll just cry.
Yes,
you'll feel guilty, and you'll stop waterboarding.
180 waterboardings they did to this guy. 180 times they tortured him.
So you think Khalid Sheikh Mohammed is an innocent man?
No.
Stop it.
But you stop it. Didn't Charles Manson get his Miranda rights read?
Yes, he did.
Yeah.
Well, we can't get him because the fucking Taliban wouldn't give him to us. Had the Taliban given to us,
if we'd have charged him, they'd have given him to us.
Do you really believe that? They're fucking, they gather up arms from everybody. They're chopping off clits, and they're going to follow our due process of law? That's silly.
Why didn't we charge him?
I honestly don't know what that process was. I don't know. I'm not going to give you a phony answer. I don't know.
It shows a weakness, as that we're going to afford this guy the liberties that an American citizen gets.
No, everybody gets it. You don't have to be American citizen. You're telling me that if a European tourist comes here, if a European tourist comes here and they think he broke the law, we can take him inside, waterboard him, we can do all this to him because they're not a citizen, so therefore our rules of our country don't apply to them.
When it's considered
it applies to everybody.
When it's considered an act of war, I believe it's different.
No, it isn't.
I do believe that it would be different.
These guys aren't an army. What country do they represent?
Well, that's exactly it. They were being hidden by the Taliban. Exactly.
They need to be done in civil court because they're not military.
So we should have went through a civil court proceeding for a guy who just killed 3,000 of us. Come on, it doesn't make sense. He was the number one.
It doesn't make sense. Who decides that?
He was the number one. We, the country.
Oh, you guys all decide. Well,
as the nation, we have decided.
We'll give Miranda to this guy, but we won't do Miranda to this.
Maybe they would have Mirandized him had the Taliban given him over.
You know,
maybe they would have Mirandized him had the Taliban given him to us.
If you're going to be a country that lives by the rule of law, then you have to accept the rule of law even when it's inconvenient.
As they said, the Constitution is not a suicide pact. It's not a pact to say we're going to allow people just to come in and do whatever they want and hide behind loopholes in the law or things they see as loopholes in the law. It's not a suicide
Miranda's
pact.
A loophole?
I'm not saying that, but I'm saying
you are.
You're saying that Bin Laden's still free because we didn't read him his fucking Miranda rights?
No.
That doesn't make sense.
I'm saying how about
they would not have given him up, Jesse.
Do you want the latest one? Remember when we had him cornered at Tora Bora and they let him out?
It's despicable.
Yeah. Well, do you know why now, I think?
Why do you think?
We would have never been able to invade Iraq then if we'd have caught him, would we?
That's okay, like you said.
No, if we'd have caught him, then there would have been no invasion of Iraq. So maybe we chose not to catch him because of we already had planned the invasion of Iraq.
Not at all. Bullshit. They could have waterboarded him and said he confessed that Saddam Hussein helped him. We would have had an easier time invading Iraq. They would have waterboarded him. If you could get me to admit to 9/11, you could get Bin Laden to admit that fucking Saddam Hussein helped him.
Saddam Hussein would have been our ally against the Taliban.
Hey, look, I got no quarrel with Saddam Hussein. I'm only talking about Afghanistan, and the fact is the Taliban would not have given him to us.
You don't know that.
You think that if he was read his Miranda rights, if we sent a fucking cop over there, you have the right to remain silent.
You know what I love about you guys? You all talk a big thing, but when you only talk it, you don't walk it. Pick up a gun and go fight once.
I'm not talking about that. I'm not talking about that.
Bullshit. You guys are all the same. You know, you talk war, you send everybody off to war, but when it comes your time to go, whoops, not me.
No,
I ain't going. Let's send everybody else over there.
That's nonsense. No, I'm not going to stop it.
It is nonsense.
It is nonsense. I'm not saying go send the boys to war. I don't want us to be the world's policeman. I say pull them out of Germany, pull them out of fucking everywhere, pull them off the team.
We agree.
Completely.
We agree.
Pull them out of Korea.
Then why are you yelling at me?
Jesse, I don't care if the North Koreans...
You're agreeing with me, and you're yelling at me while you agree with me.
We have a voluntary military, and in a time...
Which has to end.
In a time...
Bring back the draft.
Hold on, I'll tell you why I'm yelling. In a time when we're attacked by a nation that I feel was behind the attack, which is Afghanistan, I am for the military doing what has to be done.
Now, let me ask you something.
I am not one of these guys that thinks the military should go and fight all over the world.
Where have we proven who attacked us on 9/11? Where was that proven? We were told that. Where was it proven?
I believe Bin Laden has said that he has agreed that he did it, and I believe that the hijackers said they were working for Al Qaeda. It's pretty much known.
Really, we interviewed the hijackers. I thought they were all dead.
Trail, though,
no paper trail.
Now, okay, all right.
That should have been used to stop them.
All right, let me ask you this one then.
Sir.
They said it was 19 of them. How come 5 of them are still alive and they haven't been taken off the list of the 19?
Really?
Yeah.
Where are they?
They're over in Saudi Arabia. They're alive. 5 of these guys.
Are they really
alive?
So how do you know where's your proof of that?
Three of them.
You want a Miranda right and proof that Bin Laden did something, and you're saying there's 5 guys alive? Yes.
3 of them are pilots in the Saudi.
They're not pilots.
Jimmy, waterboard them and make them say no.
But there's not 5 of those of those hijackers alive.
Yes, they are.
They're not. He's hosting a talk show in Saudi Arabia. No, he's not.
They're all dead. You're sure of that?
Yes.
Were the bodies identified?
No, but that's taking you to that argument.
Well, we'll just fly with that. What the hell? My government told me that. So, you know why I don't believe my government?
Well, you believe Saudi Arabia's government? They're over there flying planes around commercial airliners?
But here's why I don't believe my government. My government has lied to me so many times in my life.
Enough.
They lied to me about the Gulf of Tonkin incident. Isn't that pretty important? The incident that got us into Vietnam.
You don't want to go back that far with Kennedy. We can't go back that far with Vietnam. You said to me that we're those guys that said...
because this happened in 2004, pal, so we're not going back that far.
You said we send our guys off to war without giving a shit, and I'm telling you, that's not true.
Yes,
I'm not saying... I agree with you.
When did you go to war?
I've never been in the military.
There you go, so you don't know.
But I say pull them out of every... So because I've never been in the military, when we are attacked by I feel a nation, we should not...
It should be proven first.
I feel we proved it. You feel we didn't. You also feel that fucking Bush was behind 9/11. So we're always going to disagree.
Hey, don't put fucking words in my mouth.
You feel that the U.S. government was behind it,
and
Bush is at the head of the U.S. government.
I didn't say that.
Who do you think's behind it? Our government's covering it up.
We have not been told the truth.
So you feel that Bush...
Well, okay, wait a minute. All right. if you'll calm down a moment.
You're yelling. You said
I'm
the
not
F word.
yelling.
You're the governor.
This is serious. And I'm only talking your language so you'll understand.
No, you shouldn't bring you down to my level. Bring me up to yours.
You know,
I want to solve what you said about. I want to solve what you said. No, I want to solve what you said about.
You know, if you're not going to let me talk, I'm out the door.
You've been talking the whole time. All you do is yell over people, and you don't want to address point by point. You act like we say, send our boys to war, fuck them. We've never said that. I agree with you, but I want to pull them out of Germany. I want to pull them everywhere. The U.S. military should never be dying for other countries. I don't care
Korea.
what happens.
Get them out.
Fuck them. I don't care if Kim Jong-il takes the South. That's not my business. I just think that if we are attacked, we have the right to want our military to respond. So that's not some warmonger saying, fuck the boys, send them over. That's what I wanted to address.
Jesse just sits and looks at Jimmy.
Why?
Awkwardly.
That was a fair point I just made. You were wrong when you said that.
I don't know. I didn't listen.
You never do. You have X amount of points, and you just talk over everybody. Because you're a big guy, and you talk loud.
I talked over you.
Yes.
You're just now yelling at me because I'm not talking.
I'm not yelling at you. I'm just yelling about your point. You accused us of something, so it's not
No,
fair.
I didn't accuse him.
Sure you did. You guys are just full of shit. You're warmongers. It's like, that's not the truth.
Yeah.
Yes.
I stand corrected.
Thank you.
You're a great American.
Well, I'm not saying I'm a great American, but I'm not a warmonger.
When your country calls, you're there.
Hey, I've never been in the military, so you're brave. I'm a coward. I have no right. We got it. Stop.
Did I say that?
Yes, you did, through implication. We all speak this. We have the commonality of language, so you can't say, did I say that, when you say something.
I don't think you have to have been in the military to understand the power and the proper use of the military if you're an informed citizen of this country. I think you can look and say, we shouldn't be the world police. Mm-hmm. And I think you can look and say, wow, this does threaten our national security directly, mm-hmm. and the military should be used in those times.
He's nodding. Good.
I just think it's a little, obviously you've served. You came from a family that served. We didn't. I think we were around during a weird time. I missed the Nam by 4 years.
What did you do in Nam?
No
Jesse?
Draft.
What did Jesse do in Nam?
Nothing.
He was a demolitions guy,
I'm being
Navy
serious.
SEAL.
I don't know.
I am too. Nothing.
Demolition.
Are you being sarcastic?
Yes.
No, I'm a Navy SEAL.
No,
what do we do?
I don't know.
Well, I'll put it to you this way.
I just want to know a little bit about your military history.
The latest thing the Navy SEALs have done that was publicized, I put into poetry. And that was on the night that Jesus Christ supposedly rose from the dead, mm-hmm. the Navy SEALs shot 3 pirates straight through the head.
Cuckoo.
If you recall, remember the 3 pirates that took the ship?
Exactly.
And that was on Easter night, and the SEALs shot 3 of them straight through the head.
But what was your gig?
I liked it. You know why I did? Well, do you know? No. You know why I did I did the poem?
Why?
Because it shows, number one, that war doesn't take a holiday. Mm-hmm. And it shows, number 2, that we SEALs will kill you on Christmas if we feel like it.
I think everybody
Christmas is coming up.
Everybody was pretty goddamn impressed with that one because
I wasn't. They didn't Mirandize those pirates. They did not Mirandize those pirates,
Jimmy.
And it also wasn't in the U.S., was it?
But you understand what I'm saying?
No,
we
but
knew
you
they
understand
did it.
what I'm saying. It wasn't in the United States.
Doesn't matter.
Yeah, Miranda is the law here. It's not the law there.
All right, so the technicality.
And the law of the seas are a lot different too.
I know.
But trust me, I can do you in and not think twice about it.
It's a big deal.
It was my job.
I'm funnier than you. You're tougher than me. All right. What do we get?
That's debatable.
I'm better in a comedy club.
Freaking debatable.
All right. Well, then maybe you're not tougher than me. What do you want me to tell you? Sorry.
Let's step outside and find out.
Oh, stop it. You're embarrassing yourself.
No.
I'll just bite your dick. Stop it. I don't care if you're tougher than me. I don't give a shit.
You're also dumber, too.
Good one. You're the one that gets mad and pushes the microphone away and saw. I actually was agreeing with most of what you said, except when you got personal and implied that we're something that we're not. I agreed with you about the overuse of the military completely. Completely.
Good.
My father was service. Did you mention your father? My father was military. He happens to feel the same way I do. So if you can mention your parents, I can mention my dad. My mom, Kami Pinko. She didn't believe in the war.
Why didn't you then follow in your father's footsteps?
Yeah.
I just didn't.
I followed in mine. I drink.
Yes. You followed in his crawl steps.
But Jesse didn't do anything in Vietnam?
No.
Oh,
Party?
Nothing that
He wouldn't talk about.
Oh, so you can't talk about it.
No, you can, but I well, I'll put it to you this way. I wrote about one op that I did in my first autobiography book, and the publisher refused to print it.
Really?
Yeah.
So why don't you make a blog?
Because it's
peeling potatoes.
It's because the operation that I talked about was so sensitive that it could have well caused an international incident that they felt shouldn't be brought to light.
So can't you put it on an internet somewhere?
I could put it anywhere, but why should I talk about it? It's no one's business.
Well, you wrote a book and you tried to put it in the book.
Yeah,
I made a mistake. I wrote about it in the book, and then the publisher said we can't print this because he said it's too inflammatory.
Yeah, but you're the guy who knows, Jesse. The fucking publisher. He doesn't know. He shouldn't dictate what you tell the public. You know more than he does.
They publish it. And
no, but I mean in a blog.
Pay for it.
In a blog or something.
I don't do computers. I'm computer illiterate happily.
So you're not smarter than me. I'm very good on computers.
Well, good for you. You're way smarter than me. I also don't wear a watch. I don't own a cell phone and will never.
Why? That's a tracking thing?
Because to me, it's aggravating. I mean,
I'll give you that.
Why would you have a beckoning call that people can ring you at any time, and you walk around with this thing where people can locate you? Like my vehicles, they got that North Star stuff. I disconnected immediately. As soon as, absolutely. I'd rather break the window if I lock my keys in than to have them know where I'm going and they can follow me every step of where I go.
Is that really a problem for you?
Yes.
They don't care.
Yes.
That means you're going to some interesting place.
No, but the point is the fact they can do it.
Where's Jesse?
With this satellite, if they want to, they can follow you
Jesse,
and know right where you're at.
You're 6'8". They can follow you anyway.
No, I'm not.
You're an easy
6'4".
guy. They know where you're going.
No, they don't.
Jesse Ventura can't hide anywhere.
Yes, I can.
No,
Mexico.
They know where you are. You just told us where you go.
You can't find me. Try finding me.
They can find you. You're the giant American.
Let's play Find Jesse Ventura and go.
You're not easy to blend in.
Is Jesse Ventura?
Jesus.
Now, like I said, I oppose that because these wars aren't going to be won, and we're not even paying for them. So we're going to send the kids to die, and then we're also going to make them pay for it when they come back because we're not paying for it.
Well, I agree with the fact that we shouldn't be world police. We should pull them back. Yep. If you're in a situation that cannot be won, obviously, get the fuck out. Get them out. And
but we have an ego in our country. After all, the Russians failed there, so did the English, but we're the Americans. We won't.
Well, yeah, and the reasoning though, do you really think we went in there to colonize and
no? I think we went in there to protect the natural gas pipeline that we put in. That's why I think we're there.
I know
it's all about money.
The Russians went in to just annex the place.
The bottom line is always follow the money. Because they only do something if there's money involved. And in the case of Afghanistan, there's a huge natural gas pipeline there that's very important.
How come between Iraq and Afghanistan in 8 years gone by, we've still seen none of this oil we're supposed to have? We're supposed to have these giant...
We're seeing it. The oil companies are seeing it.
Are they?
Sure.
Is it? So we're
you're paying for it every time you go to the gas station.
Well, I think I'm paying for $70-some-odd a barrel from Saudi Arabia. I don't think I'm paying for
the Saudi oil that's coming in
the
Saudi oil's going bad. That's why we had to go to Iraq. Because the Saudis are running out of oil.
Why don't we just go to Alaska? I mean, if instead of like this whole thing about Iraq, why not just go to Alaska or figure out a way to get that
there?
But do you understand what I'm saying? Like, if there's a way to get all this crazy stuff done in Iraq. Why not just legislate somehow and get it out of Alaska? There's oil there.
I don't know. Don't ask me.
But do you understand what I'm saying? Like, that's such an easier solution than staging a war.
Yeah, but why use ours when we can use someone else's?
Because ours is easier. It's less headaches. There's less violence. It's be cheaper to bring from Alaska. If it's all about money, they're going to save money getting them from Alaska and not having to have security and all these people to protect. It's cheaper, I imagine.
I might have an answer for you. Do you believe we are very much a war-based economy? A militaristic-based economy.
We're a very militaristic country. We're the most aggressive country in the world. I mean, if I were a foreigner, I would fear the United States more than anyone because we're the guys that'll attack you. We'll line up our military at another sovereign nation, we'll invade, and we'll overthrow you. That's what bothers me. See, I never believed my country would do that. I saw the Nazis, or I heard of the Nazis doing it. I know the communists did it, and now we've done it. So we're no better than them. We'll line our military up and we'll invade and we'll occupy you. Mm-hmm. And to me, occupying another country is ridiculous. And that we're not just doing it in one. We got two now, Iraq and Afghanistan. We're occupying, and which you think that these wars haven't had the direct effect on our economy?
Oh,
we're not paying for them, and they're going to come. The chickens will come home to roost at some point, and ultimately, what will we have achieved? I've yet to figure out what the end game is here. Yeah. What ultimately, and not only we're going to send these 30,000 troops in, right? What is it that we declare victory to? What is that? What is the flag that we're going to capture now where we can sit back and say, we won?
From what Obama said last night, the victory is that in 18 months, we take this corrupt, illegal government, turn them around, train their army and their police to fight the Taliban and Al-Qaeda by themselves.
For us.
Yeah. And then
why would they do that?
And then we leave.
What's their incentive to do that?
They hate
They're
the
not
Taliban.
going to. But they're not going to. We cannot, in that short of time. We've been in Iraq for how many years, and we can't just leave now. And we've done as much as we can to try to set up a government that can take care of itself.
You know what pleases my heart? Is that you look around now and you see all the poverty in our country, and I feel so good that we're helping all these other countries so much more. When we've got problems of our own here that we seem to ignore.
Won't get an argument here.
We completely agree.
Well, there you go. And
what's that about, Jesse?
I don't know. I don't get it. I mean, to me, don't you take care of your own backyard first before you worry about everybody else's?
I think it's a little good cop, bad cop.
See, to me, it's got to be money. Somebody's making huge amounts of money over there, like in Iraq. Okay, Halliburton's profiting unbelievable. Blackwater, the mercenaries, they're making a ton of money.
They were.
People are making money, and that's why we're there. That's the bottom line. See, I wouldn't join the service today, and I would encourage no one to. You know why? Our military is nothing more than the strong arm of our corporate. When our corporate can't get the job done, that's when we send our military in to kick their ass and make them. And that's what we do.
Why is the dollar so shitty then? Like, why is the economy in the tank? It's like, after all this stuff that's supposed to be great for us, the economy stinks and the dollar stinks.
Yeah, because we're the one thing you learn, or you try to learn, is that the worst thing a superpower can do is get involved in a war. No. You notice China's not doing none of this. China's doing their economy, and that's why they're going to pass us so bad, because we're involved in these idiotic wars out there that drain your economy, they drain all your resources, you accomplish virtually nothing. When this is all said and done, I hope I'm alive 20 years from now, because I want to see the result. I want to see what did we accomplish with these two wars that we went into, because I don't see the end picture.
I got to comment on something you said that I think some people will find offensive.
That he's funnier than me?
Yes. You wouldn't join the military today. Strong arm for corporate.
Yeah.
Now, you're talking to a lot of guys that are in the service, and that to me is demoralizing. And coming from a guy that did come from Vietnam and went through a lot of the same public criticism by people, don't you think that's bad for morale for people that are serving?
Because we should take better care of our service people. It's our job to only put them in the line of danger when we're threatened. And we're not doing that. We're using our military as an aggressive force out in the world. You know what's interesting? When I lived deep down in Mexico, you know what the most popular T-shirt is down there amongst young people? It shows a picture of George Bush, and on the front it says "Weapon of Mass Destruction."
They are a bunch of comedians.
They're funny. There. But do you feel that we belong? Let me ask you a question. Do you think that Korea was justified? Like, should we have been in Korea?
What do you mean? The Korean War?
Yeah.
I don't know. I can't honestly answer. Is it justified?
Meaning, wasn't it just a kind of like, shouldn't we just allow them to do their own?
Yeah. And Vietnam was the same way. It was just.
Do you agree though that sometimes you have to take things in the context of the time instead of like the past or what you think the future will be?
I believe you should learn from history and don't make the same mistake twice. When you see it go bad once, why would you come back around and watch it again?
All right,
maybe this time we'll get it right.
Now look at World War II. It ends. The Russians swoop in. Now there's this battle.
We also swoop in.
Oh, of course we did. But we did. Of course, everyone wanted to chop up Europe, and we did. We did.
You know what?
But that made Korea that much more important, because then we didn't want the communists taking over all of Southeast Asia.
Right.
But it's the time. But no.
No, I'm only
Mr.
laughing.
Ventura,
There's something I got to tell you, and I'm waiting for you to finish.
I'm just saying, in the context of that time, it was a viable thing to do.
I guess.
In hindsight, you might look back and go, why were we so paranoid? But it was a very paranoid time. Well, now you can explain.
Okay, now, let me explain. The last about 4 times I've gone to L.A., for some reason I've had Russian car drivers, guys that lived in the Soviet who now live here, and they're all about my age, and I get conversation with them, and you know what I asked them? I said, back in the Cold War, I said, what were they telling you in Russia? And I said, well, they were telling us we had to stop the aggression of the American imperialists because they were going to take over the world. Now, and I tell them, well, we were told that you guys, the domino effect of communism, that you were going to take over the world. Do you think the leaders got together and said, here's what we're going to sell to both of our peoples? You scare the shit out of your people saying that the capitalist American imperialists are going to take over. We'll tell our people that the domino effect of communism is going to take over. So we get both sides to rise up.
Allegation.
Well, you know what?
And both peoples are being told the same thing about each other. And yet later when we meet each other, we're all the same, aren't we?
Rocky Ford taught us that, and the fact that those, I'm not even saying that it's wrong, but those 4 drivers from Russia, I mean, I don't know if I should question the entire Cold War, because 4 disgruntled ex-Soviets.
Well, you probably shouldn't, but they're real people, and they really lived through it, and they know what they were told, and they know what they believed, so why wouldn't you accept a regular person? What do they got to be, a diplomat or a foreign leader elected before you'll believe them?
Was Hitler ever charged, though? Was Hitler ever charged? Like, when you talk about Bin Laden were charged, we just knew Hitler was the guy. Everyone knows Bin Laden was the head of Al-Qaeda. People knew Al-Qaeda did this. They did their own investigation.
Yeah, they know it. We've proved it unbelievably beyond any reasonable
I believe
doubt.
so. Hey, look, you're comfortable making allegations about 9/11 with absolutely what I feel is not proof. I'm comfortable making these allegations with what you feel is not proof.
Yep.
In Afghanistan, I really feel that country was protecting Bin Laden, who attacked us, and they were fostering and nurturing Al-Qaeda. Iraq's totally different. Every other country is different. But what should we have done with Afghanistan as a country who I feel was aggressive and responsible for harboring Bin Laden when he attacked the country?
I don't know.
And a training camp.
Invade them and occupy them?
But, I mean, it's not about occupying.
I guess that's what we do. We invade and occupy them.
Let's say there was no Iraq.
Teach them the right way to live. Even though for thousands of years they've been fighting over there, but we're the United States.
Again,
we can stop
without
it.
sarcasm, I'm asking you for
real.
real.
I'm not saying sarcasm. I'm telling you exactly why I feel that so invading the country and occupying them with our military is the thing to do.
What should we have done? You're saying you don't know. You're giving a sarcastic answer to what we did do. I'm saying, what should we have done? What's the answer there? Forget Iraq. I'm not going to argue with you about it. I was for it in the beginning. I was wrong. I'm against it. We should not be there. Yep. But what's the right thing in Afghanistan? How would you handle that?
I don't know. That's the difficult. That's the 800-pound gorilla, really, when you look at it. Is invading a country and occupying it the answer? I tend to think no. It doesn't seem to work. We tried it in Vietnam. It failed miserably.
But Vietnam,
there.
I think we had no business being with. That was not our fight.
Yeah, but we also propped up a phony government just like we're doing here. So they do have a great parallel to them.
Do we have no right to go after the Taliban as a government? If the government was harboring this guy and this organization, which, look, the way war is now, it's different. Well, they killed 3,000 people.
Okay, if you look at it that way, shouldn't we have attacked Saudi Arabia then? Because they were the people that were in the plains, supposedly.
Yeah, but they were just citizens as opposed to the government sanction thing. Come on.
Yeah, well,
I hate Saudi Arabia.
We should have invaded Saudi Arabia.
I'll go with you there.
Not only that, then we could take all what they got of their oil.
No, we should just let them be overthrown. We should just stop dealing with them and allow the fucking locals to have them and fuck the House of Saud.
Yeah, but if we do that, they might not be good for our interests.
And for the oil, so we go to Alaska. That was my question.
Oh, okay.
Isn't Alaska?
Listen, Jesse's running out of time, and I wanted to know.
Not really, because I got canceled because Geraldo's not in town today, and I'm supposed to do him next. So I don't know what my schedule. I got a couple hours. I think I got an hour, if I'm wrong, of dead time yet.
But is it being like if we say
I don't have the answers to everything, and I don't claim to have them all. But I just do know that I feel strongly that we're that we shouldn't be invading countries. We shouldn't be occupying countries. And it's going to be bad for our economy, and ultimately I think it's going to be a disaster.
But did we invade Japan, though, or did we invade, like, when we feel that country was the aggressor? Is it invasion if you're responding to the country attacking you?
No country attacked us.
But again, I'm saying in the context of them protecting Bin Laden and Al-Qaeda, I feel that Afghanistan as a government did.
Well, you feel that they did, but did they?
Well, the U.S. felt they did, too.
Well, we'll go there whether we did or didn't.
But you know what I'm saying? It's like you could make the point that the government was helping bin Laden and behind bin Laden.
You don't know that.
Well, I feel that the U.S. government.
See, the reason I'm such a cynic, I don't believe what my government tells me today. So many of the facts that my government comes out with, I tend to feel, well, wait a minute, they've lied to me so many times. Could they be lying and turning this into a political football too to get me belief?
Yes.
And you know what the most disgusting one we've done lately? The one to Pat Tillman.
Oh,
when our country lied
episode.
and used it politically and tried to create something that didn't happen. They even lied to his family, this hero, this guy that quit the NFL and his multi-million-dollar contract to become an Army Ranger. He was unfortunately killed by friendly fire, which any of us in the Special Forces knows that's always a risk. It happens. It's bad, but it happens. But what did our government then do? For political advantage, they tried to create a whole different scenario. They tried to say Al-Qaeda and all them killed him so that we'd get even more angry. Now Al-Qaeda's even killed our hero Pat Tillman, and they lied to his family. They lied to everybody. So when my country tells me these things, like they're harboring bin Laden and they're doing all this stuff, I take it with that grain of salt. I'm a skeptic. I go, am I being lied to again by my own government to manipulate my thinking so that I will follow and go along to get along? Always remember, too, Thomas Jefferson's famous quote.
Get that bitch in here. I have a heart on.
Dissension is the greatest form of patriotism.
Yeah.
And I'm a dissenter. I believe in dissension. I believe that if you don't hold your elected people's feet to the fire, if you don't question everything they do, you will get bad government.
And we got proof of that. For senator, is that why you?
I didn't run. I flipped a coin.
Really?
Yep. True story. I was split. I didn't know what to do. I was torn both ways, and filing was going to end in an hour, and it's a half-hour drive, and down.
Was it a peso?
No, and I said, I turned to my wife,
jokes,
and I know. I turned to my wife, and I said, I don't know what to do here. And my wife looked at me, and she said, well, you've always believed in fate and destiny, haven't you? And I said, pretty much. She said, why don't you flip a coin? And I sat back a minute, and I went, you're right. So I walked in the center of my floor. I took a quarter, and I looked at her. I said, heads I run, tails I don't. I flipped it in the air. I let it land. It came up tails. I looked at her, and I said, I'm not running. Let's move on.
Were you a little relieved?
Yeah. Yeah, because I left it to fate. Now, if it would have came up heads, I'd be a U.S. senator right now, and I'd be very powerful because I'd be the 60th senator, the one they would need to have to avoid a filibuster. Can you imagine the power I'd have as an independent?
They'd have loved
I'd
that
have
one.
Both of these sides giving me everything I wanted to try to buy my vote. Because that's all they do.
I don't think the Republicans would think they're going to get your vote. I think the Republicans would consider you a lost cause.
Yeah, they would give up on that.
No, that is not true. I very much stand with Republicans on real fiscal issues. I'm fiscally conservative.
We're going to lose Jesse soon, and I want to know about secret societies and everything else that this show's about.
Show. All right.
Conspiracy Theory premieres tonight at 10 on True TV.
Yeah, secret societies deal with like the Bilderbergs, that meeting that happens every year.
Yeah, and what the hell's that about?
That's the power brokers of the world all meet. You know what's interesting about it? They have such power. Our president goes to it, and our president has to sign a no-talk thing.
Really?
Yeah, they have the power to tell our president, you have to sign a thing saying you won't talk about what went on here.
Isn't Rumsfeld a member of that? I've heard of that.
Bunches. Also, I felt a little offended. I won governor and never got invited. How come I didn't get to go there and sit in on this shit?
Because they know you'd opened your yap about everything you saw.
Probably.
You can't keep your mouth shut.
I wouldn't have signed the no talk thing.
Has anybody ever taped it? Or has anybody ever taped it or talked about it?
No. There's more security there than you'll ever see at the Super Bowl or that you'll ever see anywhere.
The White House.
Yeah, obviously more than the White House.
Are you scared by this secret society?
It's eye-opening. I will tell you this.
Well, what do you know about it? Did you explore this?
Watch the show.
Okay.
I don't want to give everything away.
Well, that's a good point.
I watch the show. But I will tell you this. in doing these 7 episodes on conspiracies, you can choose whether you can say they're all bunk. Because in the end, we cover the conspiracy and we leave it up to you. Did we provide enough evidence to where you can look at this and say, there's a little bit of merit here. There's something beyond what we've been told. So, but I will tell you this, in doing these 7 conspiracies, and I say this very seriously, I got scared doing them, and I don't scare easy. But these things, doing this show frightened me.
Which one scared you the most?
2012.
Ah, come on.
Oh, really?
We had Dr. Michio Kaku say it's all bullshit.
Well, it might all be, but
what scared you about the 2012
Well,
thing? Because
because there's certain things that NASA backs up that's going to happen, and here's what scares me, is the fact that every 160 years or so, the sun kind of goes crazy up there, and it's due to happen. And, well, here's back up again, the Mayan calendar. What it said was simply this: December 21st of 2012, the world as we know it will end and a new world will begin. Mm-hmm. That's the actual what the Mayans said. Now, you can throw that out saying, they're just a bunch of old Mayans. What do they know?
They had no shooters.
But these people, believe it or not, when it came to the atmosphere and that, nothing, even with all our technology today, we can't disprove the things that they learned back then. They were very bright when it came to up there. Now, here's the story on 2012. And you can go to NASA and they'll back this up. Our planet is protected by a magnetic force field. Well, apparently there's a large hole in it. And NASA will back you up because the Voyager and all that, they've proven there's a big hole in our magnetic force field. Well, every 160 years or so, and this is also documented, the sun kind of goes crazy and it shoots off these solar flares that they call it, right? Well, because of the hole in our force field, it happened 160 years ago, and it didn't really have a major effect because we weren't dependent upon electricity like we are today. Mm-hmm. Back then, it might have just knocked out a couple of telegraph offices, and that would have been the extent of it, because 160 years ago, we didn't have the massive grid system. We weren't as dependent upon electricity. The guys I've talked to said, if here's the good part, we can prevent it. But no one's paying attention right now. It'll cost about 200 to 400 million to put these resistors in our entire grid system. But what this guy told me is that when this happens, and he won't say it's December 21st, 2012, he says, or thereabouts. When this happens from the sun, it could very well knock out the entire grid system of North America to where we could be without electricity for up to 2 to 4 years.
This sounds like Y2K.
Now, what Y2K was created by us. Mm-hmm. This has nothing to do with us. This is up there. And it's documented. This is out of our control. I said that too. I said it, but I even bring it up. I said, well, wait a minute. We had Y2K. I had to sit in a thing all night long thinking that, the world was going to go down, blah, blah, blah. And nothing happened. But like he said, yeah, but that was us. That was just us and our computers. He said, this comes from the sun, and it's documented. You can go to NASA. They will verify it and all this. And if that indeed happens, like I said to him, I said, well, I live in Mexico half the year, and I live off the grid, and I have solar power. What'll happen to me? And the guy said, well, you'll probably have about 100,000 people wanting to live with you. Oh. Now, imagine, you're all New Yorkers out here, right? Look what happened when they lost power here for a mere 24 hours. What would happen if the whole North American grid system blew out and it took us 2 years to get it up and running again?
Oh, well.
Wow.
But
I mean, you'd have chaos.
Call the herd.
Yes.
Call the herd.
Well, you'd have chaos. And, so that one scared me the most.
How would we see
in the
our
fact
movies?
Right. But
Yes.
that one got to me the most, the fact that that's really out of our control.
Yeah.
If this happens and we're not preparing for it in some manner. But this guy says it'll cost between 2 to 400 million to put these resistors into the grid system.
That's not a lot of money.
Right. But he said the problem is nobody's paying attention to it.
Because it's bullshit.
Because it's bullshit.
If they thought it was, yeah.
It's not, because it's all documented. There was the big one 160 years ago, and then in 1921, apparently there was a milder one that knocked out the grid of a couple cities.
I hope so. I'm waiting for anarchy, to tell you the truth.
Yeah, it's got his guns. He's ready.
I want things mixed.
He's ready,
I want to
Jesse.
mix things up a little bit.
So the show, we cover that.
You guys cover
I'll
UFOs
tell you,
at all?
the what?
UFOs, do you guys go into that at all?
The which?
UFOs, Area 51, any of that stuff?
No, nothing with that, because There's no, what am I going to add to Area 51? There's nothing new. We kept it within the decade. Area 51's way back in the 40s, or whatever it happened.
How about a Bigfoot update?
No, here's what we here's the eeriest one I did. Yeah. Manchurian candidates.
What's that about?
Whether the government can create an assassin under hypnosis and all this. Ooh, wait till you watch this show.
Yeah, you think...
No, I talked to a guy who claims to be one.
Oh, I thought you killed somebody.
Yeah.
And he's got maybe a code word or something happens and then they just...
Well, he doesn't really know, and he always... when I got done interviewing him, it was interesting after he left.
Pick your words wisely when you talk to him.
He said that the only reason he talked was because it was me.
Really?
Yeah. He told me that.
Was he on camera?
He trusted me. He trusted. He said,
filmed it.
But
I thought maybe he was a fan of the square circle.
When he left,
you can't be trusted though. You talk too much.
When he left,
who's trusting you with any info?
I turned to my crew and I said, "Boy, I'll tell you something. You can choose not to believe this guy, but he believes it."
Did you film his face? Did he let you film his face?
Sure.
So
absolutely.
But
here's the deal. I'll give you a little scenario on how. Okay. When a person apparently is put under heavy hypnosis or that type of thing, if they have a traumatic accident or something, it can jar their old memory back somewhat. That's what happened to him. He was involved in a bad car accident, right? So he started getting his memory back on other stuff. Well, wait till you hear this. As part of his rehabilitation after the car wreck, he had to get an MRI. They put him in the MRI and the machine went ballistic. You know why?
Chip in his head.
5 of them.
5 chips.
Five chips in his body were discovered.
So
now, isn't that pretty?
Did someone just snatch him up, or was he part of?
He claims he was taken at age 6, and that his father used to head the CIA down in St. Martin and all that, and so he was. And plus, it's his background. He's part Native American, and apparently, there's something that they study about who's more susceptible and who's not. Like in a Manchurian candidate, your best bet would be to get an ex-military guy. And the reason being is that a military guy has already gotten to the point where he can say murder's okay. I can kill someone, because you have to make that logical decision. When you join the military, you realize that there may be a time you might have to kill somebody. So you're not comfortable with it, but you accept it. That's what, see, under hypnosis, they can't force you, like put you under hypnosis and say, go jump off the roof. Well, you'll come out of it before you'll do that.
You say, go screw yourself.
If they did it to you for over a year, then it's a possibility that you would do something.
Did you backtrace his military history or his father? Did you guys investigate that?
Oh, yeah.
So he's legit?
Oh, yeah.
I want to see that one, man.
Oh, yeah. No, it's good stuff. I'll tell you what, like I said, you can choose to not believe any of these, but I guarantee you're going to find this show, because there's the frightening part thing. What if it is?
Yeah, we're all watching.
That's the big point. Now, what if it is?
All right, quickly, I see one of the episodes here, global warming. Now, this has been a big subject of late, especially because of these emails that came out and are kind of
I believed it, but I'm not so sure now.
Now you're not so sure?
Yeah, and here's why. Cap and trade. The solution they have for global warming doesn't solve it. It simply makes money.
It makes a lot of money.
A lot of money. And it doesn't solve the pollution, because you can buy your way out of polluting. You can pollute the same as you always do. You can simply pay it off. Well, how does that solve global warming? And that's what caused my red flag to go up. Wait a minute. They're going to pass this legislation that really does nothing to solve the problem. All it does is collect money.
Do you see Al Gore as being a big believer in it, or a businessman that saw an opportunity?
Both.
Really?
Both. Yep. And the real guy is this character will reveal to you, a guy called Maurice Strong. He's the guy behind all of it. He's a big guy at the UN, and they're also using global warming to help promote one world government. Because this will be the first tax that will be a tax of the world.
A world tax.
Not a tax from a nation. And that causes me great despair. Although I will say this, maybe it's evolution. Maybe a one-world government. Maybe we can't do nothing about it. Maybe it's because I believe in evolution.
Michio Kaku always talks about like a planetary government, not being some controlling force, but as instead of working against each other, eventually we just work as a planet, and then we harness the weather, and then we harness energy around us.
But of course, you run the fear. Okay, who would abuse this?
All right, yeah.
You always run the fear. In a perfect world, it might be great. Because I've told people the best government, you know what the actual best government is? benevolent dictator. But your key is you got to be benevolent. Because then you can get things done.
That
If you're the dictator, hey, we need a bridge here. Build the bridge. Da-da-da. But again, it would be abused.
Although,
like all dictators, power corrupts.
Wouldn't aggression, though, like as we evolve, doesn't aggression become less and less and less? Like, say, 1,000 years from now.
I don't think so. I think aggression's becoming more and more today. We seem to be more aggressive today than we've ever been.
I don't think as a species we are. If you look at, maybe you look at the military action in the U.S., but look as a species, I think we're a lot different than we were 5,000 years ago.
No, I don't agree. I disagree. You know why? We got protests out there going on whether people can go to the doctor. You got people protesting. Should you be able to go to the doctor or not?
But they're not just burning places down.
But we're not protesting. But we're not protesting war, are we? We're protesting whether you can go to the doctor or not.
Well, it's all immediate self-interest. We see the effect of not going to the doctor as being an immediate effect. We don't see the maybe over.
Well, to me, we should be protesting these wars, not protesting whether someone can go to the doctor.
Are you saying that we haven't evolved like that because you threatened to beat me up and you feel guilty?
I have never threatened to beat you.
You didn't threaten me, but
you kind of did.
You kind of
no, I
did. Step outside.
I was having fun and doing humor.
He just said step outside.
How the hell do we know when you're having fun?
Have a heater.
I'm not mad.
Yeah, I know. You have a heater.
Outside.
Can't have a heater inside. You got to have them outside.
Money.
Hey, I got to tell you something though. I used to because of freedom.
Yeah.
I used to really oppose the smoking in the bar thing because I thought shouldn't that be left up to the bar? Because it's an act of freedom.
I completely still agree with that.
But
and I'm not a smoker.
You know
Leave
what
it up
though?
To the fucking bar owner.
I don't now, and
Why?
I'll tell you because this summer for some reason I had to do 3 things at the bar. God, was it nice? I didn't have to come home.
We admit that it's nice.
I didn't have to wait. I didn't have to come home and immediately throw my clothes into the hamper because they stink. I didn't have to run in and take a shower because my hair smelled and my body smelled.
We're with you.
And it was actually very enjoyable.
You just explained something.
And I just sat and thought, God, they really shouldn't be able to do it, but it sure is nice that they have.
You just explained why people aren't protesting the war, but they are protesting the doctor. It's not about not caring. It's about immediate self-interest. It's the doctor we see affecting us immediately, whereas the war is like, it's easier to not feel like you're being affected by that.
But I got to admit, going to the bar without the smoke, God, was it nice.
That's a good point.
Your eyes didn't burn all night. You didn't come out coughing. And like I said, you didn't stink,
As governor, where did you stand as far as the Second Amendment goes?
Well, I'll give it to you. My definition of gun control is standing at 25 meters and putting 2 rounds in the same hole. That's gun control.
Very good. I like that.
Is that a good answer?
Absolutely.
That's called gun control.
Yes.
Stand back 25 meters, put 2 rounds in the same hole. You got great control of that gun.
I don't like some of the people that are saying that you got to have more laws against law-abiding citizens. Meanwhile, again, the bad guys.
Well, that's an attempt to disarm us and take control of us.
I will not disagree with that.
Which goes on. It's the same as these other things where they're taking our freedoms. They've suspended habeas corpus. I wish you were that passionate about that. The fact that they can now arrest you. They can now arrest you and simply say you did a terrorist thing and you can't have a lawyer. They can hold you indefinitely.
Are there examples of them doing that to citizens who aren't involved in terrorism at all?
I don't know. How would we know? If they're holding someone, if we're holding someone without charging them, how would we know?
Well, they have families.
Don't they have to charge you first so you know what you got charged for?
They have jobs and people they know who would go, "Hey, Fred hasn't showed up for work in 3 weeks."
Oh yeah,
cops grabbed them.
He's in prison for being in.
I don't know.
It's harder. They couldn't even hide Abu Ghraib. It's very hard to hide information these days with cell phones and technology, and it's harder to hide shit because the immediacy of information is available.
I just wish I'd like to waterboard Dick Cheney.
Oh, my goodness. He wouldn't last very long.
Yeah, I know, but I think he needs to have it done to him so that he'll clearly understand with his 5 deferments from Vietnam. He'll then understand what's torture and what's not. Because Dick seems to call it enhanced interrogation. I call him Cheney the coward.
Now, what about interrogations in Vietnam? Now, there was intense interrogation that went on there that supposedly led to maybe people knowing where enemy concentrations were going to be.
Let me explain why torture doesn't work. Because if you're being tortured, you're going to say whatever needs to be said to stop the torture.
Let me check with the listeners. Yes, they are. They're saying everything.
Yeah. No, seriously. If you're being tortured, you will say whatever it's required to say to stop the torture. That's why it's not allowed in court. If you torture someone, the confession is not allowed in court because it was under torture.
What if it's for information, or say like it's for a name?
How is the information? How can you deem it good?
Let me say,
he's going to say what you want to hear.
No. Let's just say like you got a guy like Khalid Sheikh Mohammed, and again, I'm talking about people who we believe to be very high-ranking members. I'm not talking about average foot soldiers or regular guys. A guy on that level who has, let's say, knowledge and who has said that he was mastermind 9/11. Let's say you say, where are the cells?
After being
okay, fair enough.
After being waterboarded,
let's say
you would have too.
You say, I'm sure I would have. Let's say you say to that person, name 3 other people who were involved. Where are they? And then he gives you names that you didn't have. And then you go and you find out those people have bomb-making equipment, and they are actually what he said. Now, you've tortured the information out of him, but...
Can you name me an example of that?
I don't know.
Where it worked?
Well, again,
I would like to see an example of it to where it worked.
All of the things that they've stopped, I don't know how many of them came from Khalid Sheikh Mohammed.
Most of them they've gotten from not torture. They've gotten from being nice and
bounties work, and Viagra work too. In Afghanistan, they give Viagra to a lot of guys. They got information, believe it or not. They did.
Really?
Viagra actually worked a lot because these are older guys and these warlords. They can't fuck anymore, and they give them Viagra, and they're fucking their wives.
I've never heard about that.
Yeah, the military's not stupid. But I think if I'm saying in an example like that, if it does work like that,
because the rule of law of our country says we don't torture. And again, if you're going to have the rule of law and live by it, you have to live by it when it's inconvenient.
Well, isn't
even if the game
who decides?
A very gray area.
No,
as far
it should
as
not be.
What it means.
Well, the game has changed a little bit in that it's citizens attacking citizens. We've never faced that before.
Well, then why didn't we waterboard? Okay, I'll give you a great example. Oklahoma City bombing. Why didn't we waterboard McVeigh? There's a lot of people think more were involved than them too. Why didn't we give McVeigh a good waterboarding to get information from him?
Well, they did execute him, so I think
but before, but to gain information, execution won't get you information.
But I mean, maybe they felt that there was nothing else to get from him, and they got what they needed.
But why wouldn't they just to make sure? There's plenty of people think more that were involved than just those two guys.
There's a difference between how we handle enemy combatants and how we handle our own citizens.
It doesn't matter a citizen.
No. I mean how we handle American citizens.
No, but so it's okay to waterboard European citizens.
No.
I'm all for that.
If they're enemy combatants, as they were calling them, enemy combatants. Whatever you want to call them.
I'll put it to you this way.
They then are not due the due process that we are here. So
shouldn't we be above our enemy? Shouldn't we stand for something?
Not all the time.
Really?
Yes, because
so we should get down in the mud and the pigs will love it.
You know what? If we understand where we're going, that we are going in the mud, and sometimes you have to fight.
So two wrongs make a right.
No, but that's not true.
No, I'm not talking about us going in and beheading people and stuff, but treating these vicious people.
Well, why don't we treat? Well, Charles Manson got Miranda. Charles Manson had his day in court. Who's worse than him?
Again,
Charles Manson was not a citizen who was targeting other citizens like under the guise of we had him. We had the guy. Nothing else was happening. It wasn't like Manson was the head of a network.
Yes, he was. He was the head of his family, and they were out butchering people in California.
But they were all with him. I'm saying they were all with him. They didn't go out and do other butcherings when he wasn't when he got locked up. It was done. They had the guy. And they got Squeaky Fromm, and they got fucking Tex Watson, and they got all of them. They cleaned house with Manson. They knew who did it. No, they didn't. They got them.
No, they didn't.
Who didn't go to jail?
There's a bunch of Manson family people that never went to jail. Read Vince's book, Helter Skelter.
People that were involved with the murders?
Well, people that they didn't have enough evidence to involve them.
They didn't have enough evidence.
But the point is, he still had rights in this country. As awful as he was, he still had rights. And when we get to the slippery slope, who decides?
He wasn't an enemy of the state.
He wasn't an enemy of the country.
Of the country. He wasn't an enemy combatant that was.
How is that any different?
It's different.
It's called killing people.
Yeah, there's a difference between war. You're not going to convict a soldier.
They're not soldiers.
I'm saying you're not going to convict a soldier, a United States soldier, for going into war and under the rules of combat, killing another human being. You're not going to take him and go, well, I'm going to convict you or try you for murder. It's the same thing. They are afforded certain, liberties.
Well, okay. Lieutenant Calley was convicted because he killed a bunch of civilians.
He went a little fucking nutty.
Wait. Now, weren't these civilians killed in the towers?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so you still had to try him in court. He committed a crime. He was read his rights, and he was tried in court.
The difference is he didn't work for 2 years to create a network to make that happen. I'm not saying it's right.
How is that any different?
I'll tell you how. Jesus. Because it's a military operation.
They're not a military.
But they're operating as a military operation on U.S. soil, and they hijack commercial airliners.
So do the Hells Angels.
Do you not see the difference between the Hells Angels and somebody hijacking a commercial airliner and flying it into a building?
No, but they're an organization that's involved in bad activities, and they kill people.
When have they done anything that has killed 3,000 people or 2,800, whatever it was? When have they ever done anything that was as much a threat to national security as that was?
Well, our bottom line, we get back to it again. Nothing's been proven.
But let's just...
and you and I will...
What have you proven about the Hells Angels? I mean, come on, you make the Hells Angels. They're a motorcycle gang. They've done some bad stuff. But to actually mention them in a discussion about what they're trying to do...
What I'm saying to you, I'm making the comparison. Here you have an organization that's involved in crime.
Yes, mafia, Irish mafia, all of them. Sure, absolutely.
And so should we treat them the same way? Because sometimes people die around them for no reason. They kill people. But you're going to tell me that they've never killed anybody?
But they're not hijacking commercial airliners and flying them into buildings.
But they might if it served their purpose, wouldn't they?
I don't know.
They might do it then. I don't know.
Maybe they would. Maybe they would.
But
what does that prove?
If they did,
well, what it proves is you have to treat everyone the same under the law. You can't simply say, okay, the law applies to you, but it doesn't apply to you, because who plays that God figure that makes that decision? Who do you allow to be able to make that decision?
You're not wrong, but the decision of the way the legal system is, you know how it is. The way the legal. So you think that we should just allow these guys? Like we saw what happened with the Zacharias Moussaoui trial. It's a fucking circus, and so we're going to allow these guys just to languish.
So you're saying that they don't deserve a trial?
Not saying
that. Our government just says you're guilty.
No,
and we're going to execute you or do what we do.
I'm not saying
trial.
That. You're putting words in my mouth. I'm not saying that.
Well, I'm asking.
No, I'm not saying that.
Well, then when do you have a trial? When do you allow our rules of law? Is it only for our citizens?
It's hard to... I honestly, in this situation, I don't know, because we've never faced this type of an enemy before.
Then why...
This country has never faced this before.
Why wouldn't you take POWs from any war we've ever been in and bring them over and try each and every one for murder of U.S. citizens?
Because they represent a country.
All right, we're in a different situation.
These people don't represent a country.
Bin Laden did represent the Taliban.
Wait, we're back to the Hells Angels. They don't represent a country. They're like a gang.
Yeah, they're a gang within the United States. They're American citizens.
Well, what difference does that make?
The difference is...
Our laws apply. You don't have to be a citizen to have our laws.
But when
otherwise, what would we do to tourists?
When we're at war with somebody, the rules are different. The rules of engagement are different.
For military.
Yes, and
you don't think Khalid Sheikh Mohammed should be held under military rules?
Boy, that is quite the loophole then, that people can now come over and invade our country.
He should be tried for murder.
But
because he's a civilian who killed civilians. He should be tried the same way Manson was.
Al-Qaeda is operating as a military operator. It's a different enemy. The U.S. has never seen an enemy that operated like this.
What a great loophole. Let's get a bunch of people from Somalia or from Afghanistan, load up a ship, come over to the U.S., not as an army, not as a representing a country.
Did that happen?
And let me just put this as a hypothetical example. Now let him just sweep on in and try to take over the United States with a little army.
Yep.
And now, instead of treating them as military combatants, we have to try each and every one of them as a criminal with the same rules and regulations.
I would say you don't give them any rights. You simply take them out back and execute them like the Wild West.
That's silly.
No, that's what you're telling me.
No, he's not.
You're telling me there's now a loophole for invading our country.
No,
who's invaded our country?
I'm saying there's a loophole now, the way you put it. If some entity wants to invade the United States, they can now do it without the repercussions of not having due process. they will then have due process? The same things that we're afforded?
Yeah, not in our country. Yeah, it's crazy. Absolutely, I agree with you.
You would allow,
my God, take them out back and hang them.
No, we should do it because you know that you're not going to be a victim of terrorism. So what we should do is just allow citizens to be slaughtered while
we're not allowing anything. It's called great police work. Don't
violate those civil liberties. Do not violate civil liberties.
Absolutely.
Do not profile. Do not investigate Muslims because they're Muslim, because that's a profiling. And everybody on the left goes ballistic when you profile, because that's not affording citizens due process. You're profiling them. You're judging them guilty before they were tried.
Well,
so you can't
let's not leave it there either. We're also profiling the Mexicans.
We profile the Italians for the mafia. You profile bikers for hell's.
Yeah.
Profiling works to a certain degree as long as citizens are afforded a certain amount of respect.
And I like the fact that now we don't even do it at the borders.
Where are Mexicans being profiled?
Well, I drive across every year, and now the last time I drove across the border, I showed my passport at the border. And I was 2 hours into Arizona on the freeway, and I had to do a 2-hour stop there because the cars were backed up because it was an immigration stop in the middle of Arizona. Well, not at the border.
And logical. For really? The people that got across.
Well, they do DWI checkpoints.
It only goes against our Constitution, but what the hell?
DWI checkpoints do too, technically.
No. Our Constitution says you can travel freely inside the United States.
So DWI checkpoints also?
No.
Why?
Because that's driving a car and a license, and you're dealing with a cop.
Same thing here.
No, it isn't the same. This is immigration.
So what? You're checking to see if...
So what?
You're a citizen. You're not being hassled if you're a citizen.
Yes, you are. You're asked to produce. I already did it at the border.
Same as DWI checkpoint. You're asked to prove your sobriety.
No, it's different.
It's not different.
Yes, it is.
It's different because it doesn't prove your point, but it's not different.
Because driving is a privilege.
Yes, they weren't stopping citizens walking.
No,
they were stopping them and exercising their privilege.
No, driving is a privilege. I don't have a right to drive.
Right, exactly.
It's a privilege.
So they were stopping.
But you have a right to be a citizen. It's your right not to be questioned inside the United States if you're a citizen.
So you think we right to ask
this isn't the police. This isn't the police.
You're talking about the Border Patrol.
This is immigration.
Immigration. Oh, okay.
So what right does immigration have to pull me over in the middle of Arizona and ask me to produce papers that I'm a citizen?
Well, you seems a little shifty.
Yeah, but if they were
shifty.
stopping people because they wanted to make sure that there weren't illegals, they weren't looking for you. So what if they asked you to produce? And I mean
I refused.
Of course you did, because you're a recognizable
guy. Because I believe in the Constitution.
So do I. But again, it's not a suicide.
No, you don't, because you're saying that this is okay.
You're right. I don't believe in the Constitution. Stop it.
Stop it.
I don't believe in the Constitution.
You're violating it.
No, I'm not. I'm exercising my free
speech.
speech. Boo-hoo.
Oh, Jesus.
And time.
Wow. I love the Constitution.
It troubles me because
I don't like the perverse use of the Constitution.
Yeah. We're out in the middle in the United States, and you're asked to produce your citizenship when you've already done it at the border. And our country has never made us have to produce any type of thing like that just to freely travel about the country.
Where are your papers?
Do you have to produce your...
where are your papers? Can you leave Minnesota into South Dakota? And I foresee in the future they're going to have right at the borders, state to state, where you're going to have to produce paperwork to go from one state to the next.
It's called Easy Pass
and that's called taking away your freedoms in light of keeping us safe.
Slippery. That's what you'd say the police doing honest police work.
Let's keep us safe.
That's what you'd say about the police doing hard police work.
I said you would. That ain't police work. That's immigration.
But if it was
not a cop,
say the cop had done it.
No, it ain't a cop.
You said it's all police work to stop terrorists. So if they started questioning people in a mosque, you'd say, "Oh, that's racist."
Don't put words in my mouth, please.
Why? You've done it to me. You did it to me. You said I don't believe in the Constitution.
Bye, guys.
Bye, Jess.
Governor.
You always just sulk and walk away. Why? You put words in my mouth.
There's a fucking guy here telling me I got a schedule.
You're using dirty language, asshole.
Yeah.
Oh.
Bye, tough guy.
Bye, tough guy.
And thanks for your service to our country.
You're welcome. Thanks for touching me with your fucking stupid riff-raff from fucking Rocky Horror hairdo. You're bigger than me and stronger than me. So what? I don't give a shit. You want to beat me up? Go ahead. I'm not going to fight a guy like you. That means nothing to me.
I know.
I argued with you. You put words in my mouth, and you didn't like when I did it to you. You put words in my mouth saying I didn't believe in the Constitution, and that's bullshit. It's not true. I don't agree with abusing it.
Thank you for your service.
Oh, you're welcome. You're a bigger patriot than me. Godspeed. Fuck out of here.
Wow.
What happened?
He's a fucking baby.
That ended on
a fucking baby.
nice note.
Who gives a shit? A big fucking guy that doesn't like the little guy yelling.
You scared him, Jimmy.
No,
you scared him away.
Here's what that is. He wanted to knock my fucking block off, but he knows that he shouldn't or he can't because of the law or all this stuff. Fuck you. I don't care because I fucking hate that shit.
What happened, Sam?
Jimmy
I really do.
angry.
No, don't
You know
fight.
what? I bow to
I
you.
would never.
so do I.
I would never.
I saw the look Jesse was giving you.
I don't
bowed to you.
care.
On you.
I would never try to challenge a guy like that physically, and I don't posture that way.
You're
He
like-
would murder me.
You're like fucking Spider. You
Dude,
were just like Spider. I would toss your money.
I would never talk tough guy talk. I was arguing an ideological point. I would never get in Jesse Ventura's face and think I'm going to outman him. That was not my point, and I've never done that. Don't fucking tough guy me. I hate that.
He was tough guy.
Fuck him. I don't care how strong he is. I hate that.
You
Dude,
are.
bravo to Jim.
That drives me nuts, man. That's my fucking pet peeve. I hate it.
Suicide by wrestler was what he was trying.
Holy shit, do I
Suicide
fucking...
by wrestler.
But it's
Jimmy
not,
was trying
dude, it's
suicide
not a
by
tough guy thing. The guy would it's not about that. I'm not going to fight Jesse Ventura. I can't be bullied. It makes me fuck you. I hate it.
How'd you feel when he tapped your shoulder?
Annoyed, not intimidated, annoyed.
And said,
annoyed.
Thank you for your service.
He didn't do it hard. It wasn't a threatening, but it was. Don't try to alpha male me, stupid.
Danny just put up a picture of the crypt keeper. Danny's real brave. Jimmy's the only one that opened his mouth like a man.
Dude,
like a man.
that drives me crazy.
That was a great ending.
That drives me nuts.
Wow.
What is he saying down the hall there?
Who cares? Who cares?
I'm just curious.
I asked him if when his book comes out in April, he'd be happy to come back because despite the tumult, that really sounded well. He goes, "Nope, not doing it."
Good. Fuck you. Bye. Don't.
We're done with him?
No,
Don't.
We've had intense
He's a baby.
discussions with the guy.
I walked with him to
And
the
he always
elevator,
comes back.
and I said, "Governor, I know that your feelings may have gotten hurt, and you don't like Jim.
Who cares? I don't like him either.
He
He's
said,
a sulker.
I don't respect that little shit.
I don't respect him either. I respect his military service, but I think he's a fucking... I don't respect him in a debate because he's a baby who pushes his microphone. Aw. What's the matter? You're not used to being challenged by a small guy, you fucking big dumb wrestler? I fucking hate that shit.
I mean,
By the way,
It's not like I stood up and go, what? I would never do that, dude.
people are saying best ending ever. By the way, yes, we did get that on video, and boy, will that video be
I
up.
don't give a shit if he comes back.
That's a big one.
I
That's
don't
a biggie
care.
right there. That's a big one.
I swear to God, I don't care if he comes back.
wait till you see Jesse's face. On that video.
Honest to God,
he
I
wanted to strangle
Too
you.
bad.
I know.
Then don't argue with me on the radio. Just bully me in an alley like you probably would have if you weren't a dumb fucking wrestler. I fucking hate big guys.
I'm afraid of Jimmy.
No, I'm
Be
not.
more funny.
Dude, I hate that shit. I fucking hate that shit.
Dude, you bravo. I mean,
I
there's
hate
nothing.
it.
Honestly, there's nothing I could say. The listeners can say. Anthony can say. It's a bravo all the way around.
Yes.
So trust me.
I would never have.
Me and
tried
Ant saw
to
the
speak
look
that
that
way to
Jesse
Jesse.
gave you. Bravo.
You
Wait till you see this fucking
nose
video.
to nose, and just you did not back down an iota.
But no, I won't back down.
I know, that's
but
just
again,
it.
if it came down to a real fight, the acknowledgement is the guy's going to murder me. I'm not going to fight
course
Jesse.
he would.
It's not about that. It's an argument. Even if it was a small guy or a woman I was arguing with, which is what I am to him.
it was that whole push the mic away. Yeah, nothing.
Don't try to fucking alpha male me in an argument.
That's
Man,
what
we
he
had
was
a
doing.
we had a really good discussion with the guy too. Why did it have to end there?
Because he's a guy like.
What, you know what?
I'll tell you what.
I
I know
started
why.
fading out. I'll be completely honest. What got to him at the end there?
I didn't like when he goes, "Well, you don't like the Constitution." He
Yeah,
doesn't
yeah.
like me because I don't agree with him, and,
he
I'm
said,
fucking.
Don't put fucking words in my
He
mouth.
put fucking words in
And
my
then he put
mouth,
words in
and
your-
then he called me an asshole, and I called him an asshole.
And when Jimmy called him out on putting words in his mouth, he had no defense
Because
for
that's
it.
what he is. He's one of those big bully motherfuckers who likes to use his size and his weight, and he talks over everybody, and he's not a dumb guy.
shit,
I'm not
he's
going to
coming
say,
back.
so what? Fuck him. He's not a dumb guy. He's not a dumb guy.
I just want to see Jimmy look.
I just disagree
Don't
with
turn
him.
around, Jimmy.
I
Don't turn
respect the
around.
guy's military service. I respect the guy. He's a bright dude. He's not a dumb guy. He's just more radical than I am. But that, when you're arguing and that disagreeing, that fucking... Like, that's all of a sudden the atomic bomb. I'm going to use my... Fuck you, man.
You know what you should do? Bend him over and humble him. You fuck in the ass. I fuck you in the ass and humble you.
I don't care if he... That little shit. That's what I think of you, you big fat motherfucker. Beat it.
Steve.
There was a point.
No, I'm sorry.
Anthony, there was a point when Jimmy turned all the way around. Jesse was at the doorway. Jesse was debating
on coming back in.
So what? Yeah, he was.
No,
I'm just saying.
I know he was.
I'm just painting the picture for everyone. There was a moment there where Jesse's like,
at all.
I think I got to go back in there and hit this guy.
For you.
And then at the last second, turned and walked away.
When he drank his water and finished the bottle, I thought he was going to throw the bottle.
And I would have thrown mine at him and got the shit beat out of me. Believe me.
God, that's what I was thinking. That's why I started getting afraid. And then Kenny would have had to come in and... Oh, it would have been awful. Kenny, I want to talk to Kenny for a minute. I want to know what Kenny was thinking.
I've been boxing lately. I would have tried something.
Dude,
would you knock it
Dude,
off?
I would be annoyed at a small guy for pushing the microwave during an argument when Jesse was having a lot of time to say what he had to say.
Yeah.
We were arguing back and forth. He felt I put words in his mouth. I felt he put words in mine. But then to drop it like that, goodbye.
I know.
Fuck you. We were promoting your show for the last 20 minutes. Ask plenty of legitimate questions.
Yes. Let him get his point across over and over again.
Try.